Hello, and welcome to Shows to Astonish. I am your host, the Fat Mantis, and this is my second Tenet video, and today we're going to have to talk about Neil. Now, there are two major things going on with Neil. First, we're going to have to discuss all the shenanigans that happened at the very end and explain why his ending is very confusing to people. And the other thing we're going to do is a popular internet theory. Now, before we go any further, I have to warn you, this is spoiler heavy. I've never seen anything more spoiler heavy. So if you haven't seen it, I would suggest turning this off and then finding a theater and going to see Tenet. Just remember to wear a mask and be safe. Remember, if you go during the daytime, almost no one will be there for you. But honestly, you should check this movie out. It's amazing. I'm going to see it multiple times. But, so you have been warned. Spoilers are a go. Okay, the first thing we're going to discuss is the three Neils. Just like there are three Jokers and there are three Batmen now in the DCEU, there are apparently three Neils in the movie Tenet. That's right, we're going to discuss it at the final battle. It all has to do with the final battle. And, you know, to understand it, it works best with a diagram, this is really good that YouTube is a visual medium so that you can actually see the diagram here. So in the final battle, known as Tenet, that's right, 10 minutes of soldier siege on Sator's base going forward, and then their backup blue team will appear 10 minutes as well. And it's going to be basically when 10 minutes of assaults meet up with one another right in the middle. That's where he got the name, you know, John David Washington's character, the founder of Tenet, names it Tenet after that final battle that will save time and space, all of time and space. And so, as we all know, Neil is on the blue team, which means what they're going to do is they're going to wait for the entire 10 minutes of the assault, and they're going to enter backwards, inverted at the very end, and the two teams are going to meet up. Meaning that, to simplify, if you're on red team, going in linear time, and you see any blue members out there shooting up the place, they have been fighting for 10 minutes, just going backwards. So basically, that is what Neil does. And during his time in his inverted universe, this is Neil A notices that there is a rock slide caused by a tripwire that caves in John David Washington and prevents them from escaping. So what he decides to do is he says at the end of his battle, he's going to find an enemy turnstile. He goes through the turnstile and reverts himself to normal linear time. And what he's going to do is he's going to go help his buddies out. At this point, we are now in B timeline for Neil. Neil is now going forward in time, and he starts fighting his way back to find a Humvee, where he's going to hook it up to the wire and the hook, and he's going to give them an escape route for it. Which means at this point in time, there are two Neils, one fighting backwards through time and one fighting forward. I know, it's already a little crazy, but this is what this movie is about. It's about playing with time and playing with our expectations of what an action movie actually is. Now, at the final part of it, John David Washington, and he cannot open a door. When an inverted trooper, unknown on their side, wearing the gas mask, all this, comes, saves the day, unlocks the door, but is shot and murdered by that ugly, disgusting henchman character that is, he played a Then, one of those giant cannibal guys on Game of Thrones. Shoots him dead, and we see that on his backpack he has a red little string tied with a washer on it, right? A little personality right there. Anyway, they're able to save the day and stop the algorithm, but thank God the hook that it was attached to is actually hooked to the Humvee, and it's actually Neil, and he's able to pull them out as the landslide is happening, and they live, and they've saved the day, and they've saved all of time and space. This is wonderful, yay! And they decide everyone can now quit Tenet. There's no reason to have it Tenet because they have now stopped it all from happening. However, Neil says, I've got to go back in there. And he's like, protagonist is like, why? And he says, you called for help and you needed help with that door. And as we know, I'm the best lockpick in this entire unit. I'm the only one who can help you. And as he's walking away, you see that he has the backpack with the little string and washer, which means he's that agent that ends up dying for John David Washington's life. And what he is suggesting is he's going to go through a turnstile again, go backwards in time, or be inverted in time, and he is actually going to be now Neil C, going back into the battle, sneaking into the catacombs, and he's going to wait till the catacombs aren't caved in, sneak back into there, and he's going to unlock the door for them, meaning there are three Neils at the same time. Is your mind blown? Because I know mine is. Next, I'm going to be talking about the very controversial fan theory that's going around, and which I am starting to believe more and more, is that Neil is Max. And I know what you're thinking. Who is Max? If you're not paying close enough attention, Max is Kat's little boy. He's the little boy in it that she's trying to save. The entire reason she stays in her abusive marriage, and the theory is that Neil is an older him. He just inverted time and came back to help out and basically be the savior of Tenet. One of the tenets of Tenet is that no one talks about things about their lives. They don't give it's a secret society, so each agent, they don't talk about their last names or what they actually do for a living or what's going on with them. They try to be as callous as possible. And in a sea of agents that the protagonist encounters along his way, they seem to be going by this rule. Everyone except Neil, that is. Neil is very personable, seems to act super friendly. He violates basic etiquette of how friendly you are with somebody that you just met. And to the point where he already knows the protagonist's drink order. Now, it's true, he said, oh, well, I read up on you. It's possible, as if your drink order is written anywhere, on any file, anywhere. In his first actual meeting, when they're sizing each other up as agents, Neil asks him, would you ever take a child hostage? Which he responds, no. And he says, would you ever take a woman hostage? Well, he says, well, if I absolutely had to. And what's interesting about that is Kat and Max have not been introduced into the story later on. But later on, a major part of the story is how our heroes treat this woman and this child. And I think that he was sizing them up to seeing if he was at a point in the timeline that he cared enough about other humans that he wouldn't ever endanger Max and his own mother. Later on, when Kat is shot at and hit with an inverted bullet, and they have to invert her and they have to nurse her back, it seems any of these medics or soldiers that are in Tenet could be helping her. But for some reason, the top agent, the second top agent, Neil, is constantly nursing her and constantly looking after her and being super motherly to her. You want to know who speaks Estonian? Estonians speak Estonian. That's right. That is one of the most obscure random languages to ever pick up. And this British man seems to speak fluent Estonian, which that is just totally random. Now if you notice, Sator, our evil Obliarch, evil villain, evildoer of the film, is Estonian. It would make sense as this boy is bicultural, and then growing up he would have learned Estonian, and that's actually why he knows it. In an interview with Christopher Nolan right before the release of the movie, he stated that he said Robert Pattinson's character's Neil, it's not his real name, and he has multiple identities. Now that makes sense. He's an espionage agent. He probably has a million passports and a million different IDs. It's part of his job, right? It's part of the thing. But why would he release that information? Well, we could have ascertained that just watching it, unless he wants this idea percolating in our minds that it is possible that he's not who you think he is. He actually had Pattinson dye his hair. If you notice, he made him go lighter. He made him go blonde. He's a dirty blonde in this, just like the boy. He even has the same kind of hairstyle. That is not Robert Pattinson's actual accent. He has a different regional accent. Nolan wanted him to change regional accents, and he wanted him to do a close-up impersonation of a news anchor who is actually from the same place where Elizabeth Debicki is from. Meaning he wanted both characters to have the same regional accent, even though he was already a Britishman. Like, most Americans watching would not notice the difference of an accent unless he wanted to make that perfect detail that they had the same one. Maximilian is the old school writing of Maximilian. Now, if you look at it, if you try to palindrome it, it's not a palindrome, but if you were to try to, let's say, and reverse it, as so many hidden things in this movie are reversible, when you reverse it, the first four letters spell Neil. yeah, my mind is blown as well. Now, a lot of people are like, well, he'd have to invert for years. Why would he invert for years? That's crazy. Here's the whole thing. The protagonist, in order to know Neil for years, would have had to invert for years, go be the founder of Tenet, and then recruit him. So that involves inversion for years. However, he could continue to live the life of both the lover or husband of Kat the stepfather to young Max. Later on, when Max is older, he, as he's growing up, he trains him to be the perfect espionage and Tenet master. As we all know, he is the master of inversion. He out-inverts everybody. He teaches him to be the ultimate agent. Then is the founder of Tenet, and and then it's Neil who inverts and goes back to go help the situation. Because actually, if you think about it, when he was speaking to that Indian arms dealer, member of Tenet, I'm sorry her name escapes me, but when he was talking to her, she clearly stated that Tenet wasn't founded in the past. It was founded in the future. Which makes it more likely that the protagonist just creates it later on when young Max is older, possibly old enough to participate in the shenanigans going on. So that's all I have for today. Superman conspiracy theories. We're theory crafting over here. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I hope you have all seen this. If you haven't, just hearing this should titillate you enough to still go and see it, even if it's spoiled for you. I want you to chime in the comments. What do you think? Is Max Neil? Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to keep tuning in to Voice of the Fat Mantis for more reviews and analysis of Tenet and other more crackpot theories of pop culture media. Until next time, guys, ciao for now.